Welcome in, everybody. Ready to dive deep into Lou Pearlman, the guy behind every 90s boy band you blasted on repeat.
Oh, yeah.
Got a whole stack of stuff, articles, interviews. Even Lance Bass from NSYNC wrote a book.
Wow.
We're going past the hits, though, right? Was this dude a genius or a crook or
We're both.
both, right? That's the fun part. Let's find out.
Well, it's funny because Pearlman's story starts way before the music.
Oh, really?
Like, he wasn't just some guy who popped up in Hollywood.
So paint us a picture then, those early days. What was he doing?
Well, first thing, he was in aviation, leasing blimps to, like, McDonald's, huge companies.
Blimps. That's not the usual path to boy bands.
Right, but that's Pearlman, always thinking big, and that led him to Transcontinental Airlines, his own charter plane company.
Aha. Transcontinental. This is key because that's how he gets investors on board, guys like Dr. Joseph Chow.
Yeah, Chow was a professor, and like many, got drawn in by Pearlman. Seemed like he knew business, promised big returns.
So was he like slick salesman type? How do you convince people?
Oh, he'd call him up personally, name-dropping the Backstreet Boys, saying they were huge in Europe, selling out stadiums.
I mean, who wouldn't be impressed by that, right?
Right. But even then, some signs. Chow's wife was like, what if we need our money back?
Foreshadowing. See, little details matter.
Big time.
Okay, so blimps to planes. How does he jump to boy band empire building?
Well, he saw the music industry's potential and used that transcontinental money to fund his vision. That's where it gets interesting.
Lay it on us.
He goes all in on this young group, the Backstreet Boys, down in Orlando.
But it's not just about finding talent, right? It's like manufacturing a whole pop culture thing.
Exactly. He creates the image, the brand, and then here's the gamble. Forms another boy band, NSYNC.
No way, at the
Yep.
same time.
Yep, and keeps them totally separate, rivals without knowing it.
So he's creating the rivalry on purpose, for hype. That's ballsy.
It was. Shows he knew how to work the media. Even Julian Benieur, his own guy, had doubts, ethical stuff.
So even close to him, they saw a kind of dark side.
Definitely. Two sides to Pearlman, for sure.
Okay, so both bands are training hard, working their butts off, but that's when cracks start showing, right?
Yeah, and while they're on tiny allowances, Pearlman's living large. Money's getting messy behind the scenes.
And 1995, things get serious. FDIC gets tipped off about his employee investment savings accounts, or ISAs.
Oh, yeah. Those supposed to be only for employees, but he was selling to outsiders. Big red flag.
But smooth-talking Pearlman, he talks his way out of it initially.
Right. But it's like a peek behind the curtain success, the bands, it's all getting less shiny.
And all the while, Dr. Chow, he's getting these letters about Transcontinental's big IPO, so he throws more money in.
Classic pump and dump setup.
Ugh. So by 97, 98, Backstreet and NSYNC are huge E, but something's off.
Because Pearlman's rolling in it, but the band members barely see a dime.
They're the ones working, living on nothing. It's so messed up.
Totally, that exploitation, it's getting clearer and clearer.
So bands at their peak, but Pearlman's empire, it's built on shaky ground. What happens next?
Well, all empires eventually crumble. And for Pearlman, it started with the Backstreet Boys. They went legal.
Really, they were the first ones to figure out what he was doing.
Yeah, they realized he was taking way more than a normal manager's cut, way beyond what was fair.
So that's what made NSYNC look closer at their own contracts.
Exactly. And there's this story from Lance Bass's book. He gets a $25,000 check after, millions of albums sold.
Oh, wow.
He was furious, ripped it up. You can imagine the feeling.
I bet these young guys poured their hearts into it. Must have felt so betrayed.
Oh, totally. Basically, kids, when they signed, trusted Pearlman completely.
So what did NSYNC's lawsuit find? Was it as bad as Backstreet's?
Even worse, their lawyer found out Pearlman made himself a sixth member in the contract.
Wait, what is so not just manager? He's getting a share as if he was in the band.
Yep, total conflict of interest, abusing his power big time.
This sixth member thing, it's wild, but does that happen a lot in music? Or was Pearlman uniquely shady?
Hard to say for sure how common it was, but this definitely put artist exploitation on blast.
Yeah, it makes you think.
It forced the industry to look at how they treat young artists, the power dynamics.
So these lawsuits, it wasn't just about Pearlman, it was bigger than that.
Totally. It sparked conversations about artists' rights, transparency, protecting young talent.
It's easy to forget music's so glamorous, but there's a dark side.
For sure. And for Pearlman, this bad press didn't stop him. He kept making new bands, doing other businesses, even trying to be like a philanthropist in Orlando.
Trying to clean up his image, maybe.
Maybe. But none of the new bands had the same spark as Backstreet or NSYNC. That boy band wave had crested.
And then Dr. Chow, the investor from before, he passes away and his family tries to get their money back. That's when it all really unravels.
Yeah, that's where the scam becomes clear. They ask for their investment. Pearlman offers them 10 cents on the dollar.
10 cents! After all that, after personally convincing him, using Backstreet's success as leverage, that's so cold.
Yeah, total betrayal of trust. And then he does something even crazier to stall them. He sues them
He
first.
sued the family. Why?
He used this fake document, a forbearance letter, basically saying Chow had agreed to delay the repayment.
Huh. So, what is a forbearance letter?
It's basically a lender and borrower agreeing to postpone the debt. Pearlman claimed Chow signed it willingly, but it was a total forgery.
To buy himself more time, it's amazing how far he was willing to go.
It is, but here's the kicker. How it all fell apart. The Chow family's lawyer, Edwin Brooks, he's going through the documents late one night.
And
He notices something on the forbearance letter, the signature. It's identical to another document, too perfect.
he thought it was traced.
Bingo. That little detail started the whole investigation, revealed all the fraud, hundreds of victims, millions stolen. It was huge.
So this music mogul, brought down by a forged signature, there's almost a poetry to it.
Yeah, a reminder that even the most complex schemes can be unraveled by the truth.
And Pearlman himself, what happened to him after all this?
Well, let's just say justice was served.
Yeah. Like, what was the fallout for him after everything?
Oh, he got hit hard. Conspiracy, money laundering, bank fraud, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
2008, he's convicted, sentenced to 25 years.
25 years. That's serious time.
The judge basically said he'd caused massive damage, hurt so many people, not just the investors, the young guys he was supposed to be guiding too.
It's a harsh reminder, even in music, you can't just do whatever you want.
No, and for Pearlman, the fall was huge. 1 minute he's on top of the world, next he's behind bars.
It's kind of tragic in a way. It makes you wonder, was he really a music visionary or just a good con man who got lucky?
Tough question. He definitely knew how to find talent, what people would like, but the ambition, the greed, it took over.
What about the bands themselves, like Backstreet, NSYNC? How'd they bounce back after all that?
Not easy. They had to rebuild everything, new contracts, figure out who they were, not just the image Pearlman made.
And did they make it work?
Some did better than others. Backstreet Boys, they still have a huge following, touring, making music, shows they were more than just a product.
Good for them. They took back control.
They did. Proof that real talent can survive anything.
So Pearlman's story, it's a warning, but it's also about the whole fame game, right? Ambition gone wrong, protecting people who get taken advantage of.
Yeah, gotta be careful who you trust, especially when they promise you the world. Always gotta check things out and listen to that gut feeling of something's off.
And even chasing dreams, there are lines you don't cross.
Exactly. So looking back on all this, it makes you think, what kind of legacy do we want to leave? One built on doing things the right way or just chasing fame and money no matter what?
That's a question for everyone, not just music people, but all of us. And on that note, we wrap up our deep dive into the wild world of Lou Pearlman. Pretty fascinating, huh?